Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Aiden Anwar. I will be the moderator for today's webinar. First, I would like to say welcome to Sound Vision's Islaminar, How to Sew Masks at Home for the Caregivers During Pandemic. Sound Vision has been bringing leading quality content for almost 3 decades to the North American Muslims and has now become a pioneer in professional development trainings and practical webinars. In these uncertain times when we are housebound, we cannot stop learning nor moving forward, and Sound Vision's team has been working long hours to adapt all our educational program trainings to an online portal. Before I introduce our presenter, I would like to point out a few housekeeping rules so we can have a streamlined experience, inshallah. At all times during the webinar, please keep yourselves on mute so we can have an uninterrupted session. You can use the chat box that will pop up on your right-hand side if you press the chat button on the bottom of your screen. I will take all of your questions at the end and we can get them answered, inshallah. So that's about it for now. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first presenter today, Hena Zuberi. Hena Zuberi is a director of outreach for Justice for All based in Washington, D.C., where she works on the campaigns such as Burma Task Force, Save Uyghur Campaign. A journalist with years of experience in both print and television, she is the editor-in-chief of MuslimMatters.org, the most widely read publication in the Islamic digital economy, where she writes and publishes commentary on issues related to Muslims living in the West. Hena was a television news reporter and producer for CNBC Asia. She sits on the board of the Center for Muslim Life in the University of Maryland. A mom of 4, she was the youth director for the Unity Center for a decade and especially loves to work with youth. She is a co-founder of Rashidun DC, an organization that serves the most undeserved in the nation's capital. Hena is also the recipient of GMC's inaugural Muslim Human Rights Defender Award. Please help me welcome Sister Hena.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you for being here. So the reason why I'm here doing this webinar is because maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe 2.5 weeks ago, I was on a Facebook page of our local community where nurses from local faith clinics, hospitals, nursing homes were posting that they were out of protective gear and were wondering if someone could help them out. Now at Justice for All, we've been talking about protective PPE, protective gear since the COVID crisis came to the United States. And we have a petition going on towards CDC and to President Trump asking for more PPE for our healthcare workers. We also have a calling campaign towards Congress asking for the stockpile to be released and then for President Trump to have the Defense Act mobilized so that our healthcare workers can have the protective gear that they need. But while I was looking at that on this Facebook page, I was also seeing in our local women's WhatsApp groups a lot of anxiety, a lot of wanting to help and wanting to be of benefit during this time of crisis, as any good Muslim would want to be. And so there were several thoughts and stuff exchanged in those WhatsApp groups. And so it started off with a simple question that I asked in our local women's groups that, does anybody know how to sew? Who all knows how to sew over here? And at that moment, my very good friend, Dr. Sadia Hussein, spoke up. And she's like, are you asking about PPE? And that's where it took off. So we talked to each other. Her hospital was definitely in need. She saw nurses, cleaning staff, tech, without any sort of masks on their face. And so she had offered, and her mother-in-law had made one for her and had then suggested that. So we started talking about actually having this become a greater project. So then we put together what has turned into the DMV mask project. And I'll share with you just simple steps of how we did it and what you all need to be doing to get this started in your own communities. Okay, so as you know, several healthcare maintenance facilities are facing shortages in supply, of even the most simple surgical masks that are given to patients who may have symptoms of sneezing or coughing. So, and I'm sure you guys are seeing this on the news, you're seeing this, you know, doctors right now are being fired or being told that they will be reprimanded if any of them go out and share this information. So a lot of troubling news overall coming up. So this is something that we can do to help. Sitting at home, especially if you have a sewing machine, but even if you don't, perhaps anybody who has good scissors can cut, can help coordinate, can make phone calls. If you're sitting at home wondering what you can do to help, this is some of the things that you can do. It's a fairly simple task to make a surgical mask, but there are certain requirements for them which clinics would want us to adhere to. So number one, I would say you need to get a set of volunteers that need to make the masks and to handle logistics. So the shortages can be mitigated to some extent. There's 3 types of masks that can be made at home. Later on in this webinar, we're going to have one of our lovely sisters, Sister Tahrim, who has been sewing these masks in our DMV mask project. Demonstrate the masks that she's making and show you the other 2 types of masks that we have. One is the simple surgical mask. There's several YouTube videos that you can watch, which is essentially made from 2 cotton cloth layers. There's a higher efficiency mask using a paper filter insert from, we're using vacuum cleaner filters or high quality furnace filters. For example, the ones that the filters that you change in your AC unit or your heating unit, those are the filters, and they're obviously, they've been really effective from the, sorry, I'm blanking out for a second, from what we have seen of studies. And I'm going to share a study because that's a very common question that people often ask us. Are these cloth masks even, do they have any value? Do they even stop transmission of disease? So I'm going to share a study that we found that Dr. Sadia shared with me on why they do provide some I'm sorry, I've not been feeling well for a little bit, but alhamdulillah. Okay, they do provide some efficiency in protection, but obviously there's nothing like surgical masks or anything like N95s. The 3rd type of mask that we're making is they're shaped like the N95s and they have nose clips and they can be tied behind the head. Just remember that these masks will need to be sanitized. In some cases, the healthcare facility may have a UV sanitizer and the facility will sanitize the masks. In other cases, you and your team will have to sanitize at your homes. You need to let the healthcare facility know how the masks are sanitized. So number 1, we are essentially creating a supply chain for masks in our area. We started with recruiting a set of volunteers who do the following tasks. We have one main admin who monitors the inventory and monitors the needs of the healthcare facilities. And I will share, we've developed 3 forms that I'm going to share with you later, where you can intake volunteers. The second form is an intake form for healthcare facilities that they fill out their needs, what they're willing to take, what they're not willing to take. And the third is an inventory form that sewers, zone coordinators fill out once they have enough inventory in their hands. So what is a zone coordinator? So I live in Maryland, where a lot of the state is organized into counties, and the Muslim community is also organized in counties. We're one of the very few states that has Muslim councils, and there's essentially a Muslim council in every county. So that's how we decided to organize. We decided to organize according to county. You can organize in whatever way your area or town, city, or metro area, tri-state is organized best, or country. You could, I don't know who else watching. I've been told there might be international listeners as well. So organize it whatever works best for the area you're in. For example, we could have done it nationally and come down, but the way it's panning out is our model is being replicated in other cities and states, like in the Boston area, they replicated it. Chicago, other places are replicating it, and they've had success because you know your area better, you know the logistics better. You could be under lockdown, or you might just be under quarantine. For example, when we started this, Maryland was not under lockdown, but currently we're under official lockdown from our governor's orders. So we did have to make some strategic changes, like who would deliver, who could actually get out and deliver, things like that. So a zone coordinator is in charge of his or her team. And they have sewers underneath them, they have cutters underneath them, and either they're making the deliveries or they have volunteers who are delivering. A delivery person will be picking up materials from fabric stores and delivering it to the volunteers. Alternately, the material can be ordered online for direct delivery. So what we did is we have a sister in our community, a trusted sister. She has a 501c3 where she collects zakat and to distribute and sadaqah to distribute locally. So we are using her 501c3 to collect donations, and she orders material directly online and has it delivered to people who we cannot get to. For example, or they might be elderly, or they immunocompromised, or our zone coordinator is not able to get to them. So that's the thing that we're using. So we've designated her as the purchaser, and we've really got like a system going over here. So cutters. This is one of the ideas of one of our master volunteers, like a master seamstress. She said it would be so much easier for her to make masks if someone cut them up and delivered them to her cut up. So within her community, in her neighborhood, they have designated people who are cutting and people who are sewing, and and people who are sterilizing and placing into Ziplocs. So this has really helped speed up that supply chain, because now you can get teenagers who might not know how to sew, people like who wish they had paid more attention in sewing classes and want to help out. So they're cutting to a pattern and delivering it to the stitching volunteers. And if it's in your neighborhood and you're going for a walk, it's even better. You can just drop it off in front of their front door, no touch, no contact. You're maintaining social distance, but you're being a part of this supply chain. Volunteers are also following instructions in sewing, sterilizing, and putting it into Ziplocs. And then the delivery people and the zone coordinators pick up from those sewing and deliver it to accepting clinics. Here's where our admin comes in. Our admin, since she's maintaining contact with her and her team, she has volunteers with her who are actually calling up the clinics. We have a script that we've written down. And if you want, I can perhaps underneath this webinar on Facebook, I can share the script that we're using to call the clinics, and we're letting them know. We ask them if they're accepting, and I'm sure actually we have the script coming up in my I've forgotten one of the slides. Anyways, make sure you carry a sheet with you if you're delivering, explaining exactly how the masks were sterilized and packaged. So who will generally accept homemade masks? In some areas, the number of COVID-19 patients are going up so fast that even larger hospitals are willing to accept. Often secondary staff have even lesser access to masks than doctors. So we've found nursing homes clinics, regional hospitals, elderly care centers, pharmacies, people who are in touch with the public, basically, have been very eager and very grateful that we've delivered masks. So far, we've delivered a couple of hundred masks to this region, and our demand is much more than our supply. And we can say that we've also found alternatives. So anytime we find an alternative, we add it to the form, and we also add it to the script. For example, Justice for All found a vendor who has N95 masks available for purchase. So as a human rights advocacy organization, we believe healthcare is a human right. And so what we did is we decided to connect vetted people, hospitals in underserved areas with this vendor before like others buy it out. And so so that made us change the script that we're sending out to people that we're calling hospitals with. So now when we ask them, are you in need of hand-sewn masks? And if they say, no, thank you, we only want N95s, then we say, oh, great. Would you like to fill out another form that can connect you to a vendor who can get you N95s? Okay. So sample form. So I'm going to share with you the sample form that we're using for the DMV Mask Project team. We can give this to you as a template to make a volunteer form of your own. Volunteer roles that will be needed, as I said before, is an admin, zone coordinators, delivery coordinators, cutters, and sewers. We also made an admin WhatsApp group and a central WhatsApp group. So the admin group that keeps people in touch with maybe some counties have more supply than other counties. So we say, okay, perhaps we can share. Maybe the demand is more in one county compared to another county. So that admin group helps us keep in touch with each other. There's a central WhatsApp group that all volunteers are on there, and it's a really, really uplifting space. People are sharing pictures, and just really gives you a sense of hope in these dark times. I really, really think it's a form of therapy for people, that they're able to do something for their community, larger community, and are connected to their Muslim sisters in this time. And we do have non-Muslim, people of other faiths who have joined the group as well. So it's an overall really great project. And each zone coordinator could also create their own WhatsApp groups to keep things flowing in their own region. I'm going to share with you the forms that we have created. Okay. So this is the form that we made for the signups. So basically it has all the instructions that you need to be able to make this. They have sample YouTube videos, sample, what's it called? Patterns, all of that on here, as well as tips. And then we just ask whether you can sew, cut, both. Would you like to be able to cut? Would you be able to cut from a pattern? Are you better suited to make a simple mask or a mask with filters? Because some people know how to make, use the sewing machine, but they're not comfortable with more intricate patterns. And just how much what size the masks, the size of the mask that you will be making, and how many of each, and basically just some general information so we can get in touch with you. This is a photograph of one of the N95 shaped masks that we're making, and hospitals are really appreciative of this one because this has a filter in between, and it has a nose pin, and it really tightens up around the face. So that's one form that we're using. The other form that we're also using is this. This is the one we send out to the medical facility, where we're just asking them their names, the address to deliver, which city or they're in, which county they're in, how many masks do they need in total, what sizes, and would they be able to accept a delivery, or would they prefer us to drop them off, and what kind of masks. As we were developing this, in the beginning, we were just making simple cotton masks. Now we found a material called halyard polypropylene, which is used to, like, for example, my husband used to use it for the orthopedic sets that, and then they use it to, and it can be sanitized. It's sterilizable. So we're also asking them if this is something, and this would be an appropriate material. So then we are buying the material directly from the vendor and then giving it to our sewers. So now they're making it not from just cotton, but they're also making it with this material. And there was a study done by a University of Florida, which showed that this was one of those masks that had a high efficiency. Anyway, so that's the other mask. And the third form that we have is this, where we're asking for completed mask inventory and how many people have made. And so then we can make sure that they're getting to the people who really need it the most. So currently you can see 17, so we've had 17 batches of upward of 50 and upward, mashallah, made already. So alhamdulillah. So that's that. Let me go back to the presentation. Okay. So calling health facilities. This is usually the script we're kind of following. The zone coordinator should ideally call, or the admin. You explain why you're calling and ask for the director of nursing or the facilities manager if you need it. And then you speak along the script. Hello, I'm calling from the Muslim Mask Project to ask if your facility can accept hand-sewn masks. We'll be making the Olsen mask or the filterless face mask. And then you wait for their answer, and they say, they might say, no, we're not accepting hand-sewn masks. And then we're like, oh, then we suggest other options to them. And if they absolutely are not taking hand-sewn masks, we don't want to waste their time. We'll just suggest that ask them if they're looking for a vendor. And if they are, then we ask them for their email address, and we send them the form. That Justice for All is connecting them with a reliable vendor. Some questions you may want to ask is, do you prefer a mask with an insertable filter or without? Can you sterilize the mask we send you? If no, say that you're sterilizing using a washer and a dryer at high heat, and ask them if you want the team, to pack each mask in its own plastic Ziploc. Sterilization. Now, if this is very important, because we don't know if one of us are sick at home, because a lot of us could be asymptomatic and still have COVID. So what is happening is that we are asking our coordinators before they are delivered that they wash in the sterilizing setting in a washer or dryer, and wear gloves, and to transfer the mask to the dryer, dry at a high heat setting, and then pack them in a new packet of Ziploc and place each mask in its own bag. And if you're using paper filter inserts that you cut from vacuum bag cleaner bags or other filters, then try to place them in the dryer and run the cycle for 15-20 minutes at a high heat, and place 3 filters in that Ziploc bag and pair the masks in the filter bags, and then you deliver it. I know there are a lot of questions. Do you want me to answer them all at the end, Aideen? So I'm guessing that's what we'll do. We'll answer all of them at the end. So this is a note that we're sending with the masks, because we want them to know who these gifts are coming from. So this is this is basically what we're doing is with each mask, we're sending them a little note that please accept this gift made by Muslim women in the DMV. This is a gift made with the same kind of loving energy that you're using to take care of our community. We are guided by the prophetic tradition of mercy and this verse from the Quran. If any of you saves a life, it is as if you have saved the lives of all mankind. Love and prayers for your protection, the DMV Muslim Mass Project. And subhanAllah, it's been so beautiful. One of the doctors said that as soon as she walked down the hall, like there were a chorus of nurses and tech and staff who was thanking her because they knew that she wears hijab, so she knew she was a part of this project. And it was dawah, but it was also just being a part of the community. So these are some pictures of some of the masks that we've been delivering. So this is from the study that Dr. Saadia Hussein shared with me that, and I can share the link in after the Facebook Live is over under it. And so in that study, they found, this is what they found, is obviously the cloth mask and just the surgical mask, they just felt like in that study that this was the difference. But I'm not a scientific person at all. So I trust the people who sent the study over to us. And if we find otherwise, and obviously as the supply, and that's why we're working to help in any way we can to get supplies of N95s that are properly vetted masks to our hospitals as well. So, but in the meanwhile, something is better than nothing. These are some of the masks that some of the sisters have made. Some of the happy nurses who've gotten these deliveries from us. This is how they've been packaged, put into Ziplocs and neatly dried and sanitized and folded and put in there. And yes, so I am done on my end. And if you all have any questions, I'm going to actually first hand it over to Sister Tahrim, who's going to demonstrate at this point the mask that she has been making, so you guys can learn firsthand from someone who has experience, and then we'll take questions, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I've been making the mask, which I have it's a flexible nose on the top so that it covers your nose and you can pinch it and adjust it according to your nose. These are with the elastic, which goes on the back of your head. And the other one I have made is the one with the ties, which also has a flexible nose, and you can tie them around your head, and it's more flexible. That's why it has this. So anyways, the way I have done is I have cut the piece into, we need a piece of 9 by 7. Instead of cutting in 9 by 7, I cut the piece into 9 by 14 just to make my life easier, so I don't have to sew that much, and it's cut done in a quick way. And you fold it in half. And then after that, we have to make a pocket for the fluoro-wire. For fluoro-wire, or the wire I have used to pinch the nose, is the Chanel sticks, which I've used, cut into 10-inch pieces and then folded in half, so it becomes a little more sturdy and strong. And please remember to pinch it at the end. We don't want anybody getting stuck by these pointy things at the end. So this is the way we've made the fluoro-wire, or the nose pinch thing. The thing I'm using for the pocket is the half-fold bias tape, which I have cut into pieces of 9 inches, which covers up the whole fabric, right, like this. I usually do leave a ½ inch on the top. Can you guys see this, or do you need me to put it up, or is it visible on the video?
Yes.
You guys can see it. Okay. So this is the way I do it. I just put in the bias tape about ½ inch down from the top and pin them up. pinning is, this just like keeps it in place. And make sure you put a pin in the middle also. That's going to be the place where you would be inserting your nose, flexible nose thing, or the wire. You will be inserting your wire. I already have one ready over here. So let me just show you. This is the thing you will have. We're going to sew it and make it into one big, sort of like a pocket to put the wire in it. It just takes like a couple of seconds to sew it. You don't have to take off your common pins because the pin, it goes right over the pin. So this is one thing which is good about this. All right, so let's do it the other side. And oh no, that's me. I just took out the thread from here. Sorry. That is something which we have to be very careful about, but I forget. All right. This is the first time I'm doing it, so I'm a little nervous, as you guys can see. And I might make mistakes, so please do tell me the right way of doing it. So I'm trying to make this pocket as close to the edge as possible. So halfway through, I stop where my middle pin was, and I insert my wire in there. Please make sure that the wire is in the middle of the fabric, maybe leaving 2 inches here, 2 inches there, because the wire is like 5 inches long. So it can be inserted in the middle, and then just continue sewing as at the edge. So now we have a pocket or a nose thing right over here. So next thing would be to make the elastic thing going around like this. So in order for us to do that, we have elastic which are cut over here. These are like 11.5 inches long, and I will just pin them up on top of the pocket which I have made on the top. This is the top one, and I'm just going to pin them up right here. And then we need another elastic at the bottom so that that goes around your neck on the bottom. So remember to leave 1/2 inch at the bottom also, because you have to, that's for your sewing thing and to reinforce the whole mask and to go around it just so that it does not rip very easily. And you just put it over here. I have made one ready over here, which is like, this is going to be the final product. Two elastics on the top, one elastic on the bottom, sorry, 2 elastic overall, 1 elastic at the bottom, 1 elastic at the top. Now, next project is to turn it over and bring them together, making sure that the right sides are facing each other and the wrong sides are out here. So we are going to put a pin here and just to secure it a little bit, and then start sewing and leaving 2 to 3 inch window opening over here to turn it over. Let me just start this, and then I will show you what I have as a final product. Please remember, going over the tape, elastic, please reinforce it again and again. That is the thing which could be stretched mostly. And so we just have to do it again and again. All right, let me just. So the final thing, when you stitch it on all 4 sides, would be like this. You have to, with a little opening on one side, and now you have to turn it inside out. This is what you will have after you turn it inside out. Of course, you have to push the corners out, and you have to make it into a rectangular piece or rectangular shape. So, and I have one right here, which I was ready. And this is what it's going to look like. So for this is the mask which is ready to be pleated now. To put the pleats in, I always recommend to iron it up a little bit so that you have sort of like a guided thing to go to. Is the iron. And then pleat it again like this. Am I going too fast for you guys? I don't know, but I'm doing it. So, and then one more time, just to give you a little idea where to pinch your pleats. So this is what we have now. And
okay, we have a request to just slow down a little bit.
Okay, all right. So from where? Should I slow down from here, or should I start it again and let you know again?
No, maybe just show them the pleats from.
The pleats is, let me show you again. I'm going to turn this over here, right? Just fold it in half. You've already got this square or this rectangular shaped thing. Just fold in half and then iron it in from the center. Then open it up. Then make it fold both the sections in half again, joining in the center. And then iron them again so that you have a marking where you're going to make your pleats. When you open this up, this is what you will see. 1, 2, 3. These are your marking for the pleats. So then for us to make the pleats, lay it down flat, starting from the top, make a little notch over here, and then secure it with a pin. Same on the other side. The middle one, there's the marking right here. Just fold it and secure it with a pin. And the same goes for the third and the last pleat also. I think my pleats are becoming a little oompa loompa, but all right. And for the last one also, I just folded it and secured it with a pin. This is what it's going to look like with pins over here. Now it's very easy to stitch, going around on 4 sides. Remember, there's an opening, there's still this opening over here. So you have to make sure that you do it twice, stitch it twice over here so that the opening is not there anymore. So let me just go around it and I will show you the final product. And the elastic goes underneath and then you secure the area around the elastic. Back and forth 1 or 2 times and that's it. So I don't cut it out. I just twist my fabric. Oh no. All right. Okay. So this is the final product. What you see, I have one ready right here. This will be, it's going to look like this with the nose plier over here and the nose, flexi nose here. When you put it on, you have to use both of them. These go over your head and then this comes right on top of your nose. And you can pinch it and secure it like this and open it up. So this is one type of a nose, the mask which I'm sewing with the elastic.
Mr. Tarim, there's a question. Someone was asking if you could repeat the name of the material used as a wire for the nose.
Chanel sticks, which are from the craft store, which can be found at Michael's, Walmart, anywhere. These are the sticks I'm using. Since I did not have the floral wire would be the best one, but they were pretty thin, so I folded them in half. These are like 12 inches long, but I cut them 10 inches and then just like twisted them and into halves.
Yes, these are reusable, right? They can be rewashed and reused.
That's right. These are reusable. This is the one type of mask. It does not take long, 15 minutes, maybe a little extra. But the other type of mask which I made is with the string, with the ties. This is made in exactly the same way as any regular mask is made. And I have already pre-made this. Like you stitch it from the sides, you stitch it from the back, on the front, and you put your pleats on. But for me, the easiest way of putting the pleats on is always iron them up into trifold, half, and then half again and half again. And then I put the pins up, and this is the final shape which I get. For us to make this into a flexible nose thing, nose mask, I'm using, again, a strip, which is cut into 1.5, 2 inches wide. You can use a double-sided bias tape also, but since I could not find any double-sided bias tape, I just got this fabric and then using it. It should be cut 54 inches long, which is going to cover for your head tie and for the covering up over here. The center of the tape can be pinned with the center of the mask. All right, so I have a little technical problem here with my needle also. So this is how it's going to be pinned up. And then let me just show you the pinning up of in all 3 sides. Okay. Fold it like this and bring it to the other side, and then fold it again and put it over here like this. Pin it again. And pin it again over here on this side. So now you have a pocket again right here in the middle, a pocket in the middle where you are going to put your wire like this, cover it up, and then stitch it all the way across from here to here. I won't be able to do it because I just bended my needle. So I have to get another needle from my sewing box. So it comes out to be like this. I have one ready for you right here, which is like a flexible nose right here. This goes on your nose. You have to do the same for the bottom also. With the bottom, you do the same, except for you don't put the wire in there, but you still stitch the same way. You make it flat like this, secure it with the pins, and turn it over. Again, fold it from one edge and secure them with more pins. I forgot the middle pin. Middle pin it's not letting me do it without. And then Any questions, any confusion? So this is what you will see the end product. And of course, then you have to stitch this all the way through and through to make it into a tie, just like this one. This. And then this can be used as a mask also. So these are the two type of masks I'm making. And any questions, any other thing?
Someone wanted to know, how would you insert a filter? So you're not making the ones with the filters, right?
I'm not. Yes. But
so we have posted a link of a mask with the filter that people can, that we're using, that other sisters in the team are using. And I'm also going to post a link of the mask that are being made directly. These are just they're disposable. They're being made directly from the material that you get in your furnace filters. But then you'll have to make a lot more of them because they're disposable. Mr. Tareem, I think, how do you sanitize it for reuse?
Yeah, you have to wash it, and there's usually a sanitized cycle on your washer also. That's one way of sanitizing it. Otherwise, these masks would not go in the microwave because they have a wire. I heard that some sisters are putting them in the microwave and heating them up to certain temperature, but these will not go in the microwave. Wash them. I washed them with soap within my washer before I even started making the mask. Now, after this, I will wash them in the washing machine and then dry them at the hottest cycle on the dryer. And then when you put them in the bags, please remember to wear your gloves and put them individually, one mask per bag. And I've heard that some of the doctors' offices are also sanitizing them, and they still sanitize these things in the machines they have there at their offices. So that's all I know.
There are a few more questions that people have asked on the Q&A section. One of them is, this person, Ali Suraid, says, Assalamu alaikum, Jazakallah khair for showing us the demo on how to sew mask at home. A quick question, can it be stitched by hand using simple cotton cloth and elastic bands? And what kind of filter are used for them?
Hena, you just answered that question, right? The type of filter?
Yes, and I'm going to share a picture. Let me just pull that up. If you could tell them if they can stitch it by hand without a sewing machine while I look up the filter, show them.
I have heard that you can use coffee filters also. So that is one of the paper, but do not, and there's a pocket in the mask, do not insert them and sew them, just leave them out there so that they can change the filters again and again.
Another question is, what material can we can use for making masks other than cotton?
Hena, you just told another material also, right?
So in the form that I have sent out, there is that material, the halyard material that is reusable. That's what they make the drapes in hospitals with. They also make, they sort of drape the bed with it. So that's another material that can be used. So let me just show you what furnace filters look like that perhaps you guys can have a better idea of what we're talking about.
And somebody else asked if you were using pipe cleaners.
I am using pipe cleaners.
Okay.
These are pipe cleaners which I'm using to make it a flexible nose.
Okay. And Sabah Khan asked, how do you keep the nose wire from sliding around within the sleeve, especially given that floral wires may be thinner than what was used in the video?
That is right. I forgot to mention this step. I have put 2 stitches at the end to secure them before I even tie them. This is one step which I forgot to mention. Sorry about that. These are you have to put in the stitches at the end of the, when you insert the wire, you have to put these 2 stitches over here to secure the whole thing in the loop. in the loop, so it doesn't slide back and forth. So this is how you do it.
Let me share my screen so I can show you the filter that can be used. So basically, as you know, when we go to Home Depot or someplace like that, these are the furnace filters, and you can cut them up. And there is a video that I'm going to share where you can make the actual mask out of just these filters. You don't even need to put any cloth on it. But then, and they have the same sort of, just slightly less than professional masks, but the pattern that's used is as fitted. It's just really fitted around the face. But these are not, they might be able to use them a couple of times, but then they're disposable. But you could also use this material and insert it in the middle of the mask. And I've shared the YouTube video, which you can use to make the mask that has a pocket in it. And what we're doing is we're just cutting that filter and insert, you know, we're not even inserting it. We're just giving them 3 or 4 cutouts. And then after that, so they should be able to use it for a bit, wash it out, and then reuse them. If anybody has any questions about that. Sorry about that. Stop sharing. Smelling like, yes, that is one of our protocols that we're definitely asking that whenever we deliver, before that, they have to be washed and cleaned and sanitized. So that would eliminate any smells that may be coming up. Or another question is, what's the difference between the filter from Joann's and the vacuum filter paper? I'm not sure what Joann's is using. The only concern we've had with Joann's is that only giving out 1 kit per person, and many times they're not enough. So it's a great way to start up and check it out and test it out and use it to use as a pattern. But that's the flaw. That's the only flaw with Joann's. It would be great if they would allow people to take multiple. If we have a little bit of time, I can perhaps show you all the video that has the filter in it, because there are lots of questions about how to make the insert for the filters. Is there, Assalamualaikum Faika. Are there any other questions specifically for Sister Tahreem or myself about how to set this up or anything like that before I go ahead and start the video? Okay, great. So I'm just going to start that video up.
So I have a team based all over the world. Everybody works from a home office.
Monday.com makes it really easy for them to collaborate as if they were in the same room.
With Monday, the entire group.
Hello, my quilting friends. My name is Luna Day, and in this tutorial, I want to teach you how to create this face mask. This pattern features an opening, a pocket, so that way you can insert filter material. It also features a wire in the nose so that you can form fit this to your face. So if you're wearing glasses, it won't fog up your glasses. Also elastic straps on the sides. I've engineered this pattern to have the fewest number of seams possible and the quickest cutting, so we can create a lot of these very quickly. To create one adult size face mask, you will need a piece of fabric that measures 9 inches by 15 inches. 1 6-inch long piece of pipe cleaner or similar bendable wire, a fabric marking pen, 2 pieces of elastic. This can be thin braided elastic, woven elastic. This is round elastic in this case, and I have knotted the ends. If you're using 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch flat elastic, you won't need to knot the ends. You want to cut the elastic 7 inches long. You'll need a ruler to mark 1 inch measurements. and you'll need wonder clips like these or straight pens. First, take your 9 by 15 inch piece of fabric and fold it right sides together. Place your ruler on top and line it up with the short edge and make a mark at the 3-inch line and the 6-inch line. This will leave a 3-inch opening in your mask for inserting any sort of filter material that you have. Now take this to your machine and stitching with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. You're going to back stitch at the beginning, stitch the first mark, back stitch and break your thread. Begin stitching at the 6-inch mark, back stitch, stitch to the end, and back stitch, then break your thread. Here's what it will look like when you get this stitched. Take the fabric and open it up and finger press the seam allowance open and flat. This will have created that nice 3-inch opening in your mask. Now, position this seam 1/2 inch from the top. So we're creating a new fold, and this is very easy to create because you can line up the seam allowance with that new top fold that you're creating, just like so. This is creating a little bit of space here from where the seam is to the top, and this is going to allow us to encase the wire in the top of our mask. Press that fold in nicely with your hands. If you want to, you can take this to an iron and press it firmly.
Hey parents, are you looking for ways to get your child engaged?
We're going to take our piece of 7-inch elastic and we're going to insert that into the side right up against that top fold. And it's okay if that knot extends just a bit. We cut that a little bit long at 7 inches so that way you can hang on to it. You can have it hanging off that edge a little bit so you can hang on to it better. Now place a wonder clip or place a pen to lock that in place. And this is the trickiest part of this pattern because of course this is not cut longer than the length of this. You're going to have to tug on it. As you can see, it's going to put tension and kind of draw those two sides together. That's the way it's designed to go. Now this edge, you can see, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tuck it into that fold down here, the bottom of the mask. Get it as close as you can. Don't worry about it being absolutely perfect. Place a clip. And that is the way it's supposed to look, slightly ruched up on the side. We're going to do the same thing over here. Insert the elastic right up against that top fold. That's the easier one to do. Place the pull. I'm taking the elastic and pulling it downward towards that bottom fold. That looks good. Pinch that, grab a wonder clip, clip it in place. So here is what the mask should look like at this stage. You can see we have the elastic that is clipped to the top and bottom on both sides. We have our opening at the top. Let's take this to the machine and we're going to stitch both sides with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm going to first go through a scrap charger that just simply sorts out any issues my machine may run into as I begin sewing. And then I just stop with my needle down 1 stitch off of that scrap. Now I'm going to make sure that the elastic is being caught by this end, but I'm not going to stitch through it a second time. So I'm just tucking that out of the way and I remove that clip, but then still press firmly against the elastic. I'll lift the presser foot, place it on top, and stitching with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, back up, and then now stitch down. Now this first side is easier because I can put my hand into the mask and pull on that elastic to keep it out of the way. So I'm actually going to hang on to that while keeping these edges in nice alignment, and I'm just going to put my foot down. There we go. Reposition. And reposition one more time. Now this is where I go inside and I give that a nice tug And you can see back in here, this is gonna ruche up. That's the way it's supposed to go. The elastic can stretch as you stitch that seam. And then as I get down here, I'm just using fingertip pressure to hold that elastic in place as I stitch down, then back up, then down again. I wanna make sure that that is nice and secure. There we go. Now I grab another scrap charger and stitch onto that. And just clip off those scrap chargers. I turn this around. I'm gonna do the exact same thing, stitching on this side, making sure that the elastic is in the proper position. I remove the clip from the top, make sure that the elastic is right here across that fold. Lift the presser foot, stitch, back stitch, stitch forward. Now I need, this is a little harder. I've got to actually lift this up and tuck that elastic further in, feel it with my fingertips, and keep that out of the way. So I'm sure that the elastic is over here, and I'm not going to stitch through it again. And it's okay if you're not exactly right with your fabrics getting out of alignment. Like right here, you can see my fabrics aren't exactly lined up. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. So now I'm going to give that elastic a tug, and that's going to ruche this up a little bit in here. That's the way it's designed to go. Flatten it out, stitch on down. Looks like I need another tug here. It can get a little bit messy, but this is why I'm showing it to you so you can see every step. There we go. That looks good. I'm going to keep that seam allowance nice and flat. It likes to wing up on you. Just smooth it out. There we go. All the way down, back stitch, and stitch forward again. There we go. Stitch back onto a scrap charger. The scrap charger is what stops your machine from gagging between seams. It's really useful.
I'm going to skip a little bit so you guys
So
can
at this
see.
point, we have quite a lot. It creates a little accordion-looking pleat like that. And then you place a clip to hold it in place. You can already see that pleating action on the mask. Grab another set of clips. We're going to take the next mark. This would have been at the 4-inch line. We're going to take that up to match the 3-inch mark. Again, hold it in place and clip it. On the other side, 4-inch mark, bottom to top, 4 to 3. And then over here, last set, be from the 2-inch mark to the 1-inch mark. Again, place a clip. And over here, same thing, 2-inch folds up to 1-inch, just like so. And place one more clip. Okay. Now you can go to your sewing machine and go in ahead and stitch this now, but I like to try and get all the stitching done in a batch, as you know, try and do as much as I possibly can in one go. So I'm going to also insert the pipe cleaner at this time too. So pipe cleaners are usually 12 inches long. I have cut this in half, so it is 6 inches long. And we're going to open out these pleats, not disturbing the clips on the sides. So we'll just open it out and insert the pipe cleaner. I'm going to try not to bend it. That's why I'm flattening everything out, because I don't want to bend the pipe cleaner if I can avoid it. Now I'm tucking it up into this upper edge. So it's about 1 inch from the corner. That feels good. Once I feel like that's in the right position, I go on ahead and clip it. Now I just shift the pipe cleaner through the mask, again, trying not to bend it up to that upper edge. So now it's straight across. You can see it's running straight across that top fold, right through there. And I'll clip that in place too. That looks good. I might put one more clip right here in the middle. There we go. And at this point, all you have to do is grab those clips and just give them a firm tug without actually pulling them off. And then the whole thing will set flat again. So that is what your mask should look like at this stage. To stitch the pleats and the wire in place all in one go, we're going to begin here at the bottom, back stitch, then stitch up the edge, and of across, and we're going to use just the edge of the foot as a guide, and that can be any zigzag foot or zipper foot. Once you get here, you're going to stitch straight down the side, back stitching again. Now to reinforce these pleats to make sure that they don't come undone, I also did an extra line of stitching down between the stitching we just did and the edge. So I stitched down one side and I stitched down the other side just to reinforce it. So let's jump on the machine. I'll show you how that's stitched. Now we will be going through lots of layers with this seam, so just be advised on that. Take it slow and easy. And again, we are using just simply the edge of the foot as a guide. And this works great, and no matter what foot that you're using, I'm just using a standard zigzag foot on my machine. I'm going to take a couple stitches forward, then back stitch, and then now I'm going to be going over the first pleat. You can hear that, and basically you're stitching through 4 layers, so just give your machine time to process that. Go. And then if anything gets shifty on you, just kind of wiggle it back into position. We're going to come up, gauging where we're going to turn that corner. So it's going to be roughly about right there. There we go. Now turn the corner. The biggest thing with this seam is that you want to make sure that you don't end up stitching through the wire if you can avoid it. I doubt it would mess up your machine, but just in case, it's just probably not a good idea. So I'm just making sure as I stitch it that I'm feeling that wire and I'm pressing it forward with my fingertips so that I know that that wire is staying right up against that fold. And I'm keeping the edge of my presser foot in line with that folded edge as well. Remove the last clip, feeling that again. This is part of the reason why you just don't want that wire to bend if you can help it. It just makes it, you know, a little bit fussy. There we go, stitch down. Now I can see it's time to turn the corner again. Now this is a little bit trickier because of course the pleats are facing the other way. So as I stitch down, I'm going to get close to one, lift my presser foot, make sure that the foot is on top of the pleat, the folded fabric. Again, shift. Make sure that the foot is on top of the fabric. You don't want it to basically start to shove the fabric downward and ruin your pleat. There we go. And back stitch again, a couple stitches, and stitch off. I'll grab another scrap charger. Again, this just basically keeps your machine in stitching mode. It speeds things up, so I can just clip that off and then go straight back on. So here I'm looking at the stitching line I've just stitched and the edge of the mask, and I want to stitch right down the middle there. So I'm just lining that up. Again, take a few stitches, back stitch. This should also catch your elastic one more time. So this reinforces not only the pleats, it also reinforces the elastic as well. Stitch on down, back stitch, and the elastic. You don't actually have to do that if you don't want to, but I think it looks good and it also makes it last just a little bit longer. Now inside, of course, we've got our pocket. The only edge that could potentially fray would be this inside edge. And I don't think that's a very big issue. In the tests that I did not find that frayed or was a problem for how my mask was working. You can open it out and insert your filter material as you have found that works well for you. And there's lots of different things that you can use inside of your mask, from paper towel to vacuum cleaner bag liners. I did a lot of reading. I will make sure to list different options on the website page, leahday.com/mask. You're gonna need to experiment to see what works best for you and is the most breathable for you as well. Please make many of these, not just for your family, but also for those in need. And contact your local hospital to see where you can donate or mail them to help the hospitals.
Okay. I think, thank you, Sister Tahrim, for your demo. And I hope that video answered the questions about how to make this slit for the filter. They were pretty similar in a lot of ways. Sister Tahrim has tieable ties, which also some of the nurses have told us that gives them less headaches. And even the elastic, the way instead of putting it around the ear, tying it in the back also is, she's read many forums where the nurses and doctors have said that their ears start hurting after a while if they're behind the ear a lot. So that's why she uses the model that she uses. Would you like to add anything, Sister Tahrim?
Inshallah, Jazakallah for everybody's help. And hopefully, please remember to reinforce your pipe cleaner by putting a stitch over here on the side of it. And that's the only thing which I forgot to mention. So just that. And inshallah, make as many as you can. We need them.
I think we're a little over time now. We were supposed to end at 2 o'clock. I know some people still have some questions that were unanswered. So what we can do is just have, we could type those answers back, but for the sake of time and respecting everyone's time, we'll just close off now. But before I close off, I do want to announce our 2 upcoming webinars. The next one will be tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time, and it'll be, the title will be Your Share of the $2 trillion stimulus package. How can small businesses in the U.S. benefit? And then the next webinar will be this Saturday, April 4th at 3 p.m. Eastern time, and that will be on getting started with online education, tools, and resources. And we'll have Imran Nanlawala, the Director of Digital Learning Partners, be presenting at that. So we will also be sharing this information online, and somebody also mentioned that they would like to have that video that we just watched in with the link posted on Facebook and our pages, and we will do that as well. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you again, Sister Tahrim and Sister Hena, for sharing your insight, and especially Tahrim, it was also very, it was very nice to be able to watch masks being made. I've never seen that before. And may Allah bless all of your efforts, and inshallah, we'll see you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
ودعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. إن شاء الله لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له عبده ورسوله.